Welcome to Technado with Don Pizzette, featuring sysadmin expert Don Pizzette, security specialist Daniel Lowry, and Peter.
Welcome to Technado with Don Pizzette. I'm your host, Peter Van Rysdam, joined, as always, by the namesake of the show, Don Pizzette. Don, how's it going?
It is. Well, I was going to say it's going great, but it's not. We're going to cover news later on, and we've got the loss of a retail marketing friend. So, sad news.
I thought you were talking about your dental procedure.
Oh, well, there's that too, but I'm happy about that.
Yeah. Them drugs are kicking in good.
Nice to have all your teeth. And Daniel, all your teeth as well.
Yeah, they're there. Every last one. I actually still even have my wisdom teeth, so that's
you do?
fun. Yeah, I do.
Oh, man. I was telling someone the other day that when I had my wisdom teeth out, I knew the gas was good because when they put the shot in my arm, it felt good. And I'm like, man, this gas is fun.
Yeah.
So.
Can I get some of that to go?
Well, I don't have a segue for this, but our guest is joining us today is Adam Darrah, who is the Director of Intelligence for Vigilante. Adam, how you doing?
I'm well, man. Super excited to be here. Thanks, guys.
So we were discussing before the show, are you an actual vigilante, or is that just the name of the company?
I prefer not to comment
That's fair. No,
on that.
Neither
It's
confirm nor deny.
Yeah, super close hold. No, it's a cool name. Our legal corporate name is Vigilante Advanced Threat Intelligence, Vigilante ATI, but we just tell everybody it's Vigilante. It has a certain je ne sais quoi.
Sure. I don't know what that means.
You know, a lot of times we ask how the companies got started or whatever, but I think it's obvious here that much like Frank Castle, drug kingpins killed your family, and you felt the need to start this company, correct?
Almost close. Right on.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Peter, but je ne sais quoi is French for furry cat butt.
I believe so.
Pretty sure.
That's what
Confirmed.
All right, well, let's move on and get to know Adam a little bit more in our first segment, Rapid Fire Questions.
Who do you work for?
What's new?
Who are you?
What's happening?
What's wrong with you?
All right, Adam, in this segment, we are going to fling rapid-fire questions at you, kind of rotating through the hosts here. You will have approximately 1 minute to answer each question. If your time runs out, Peter will buzz you.
I love it.
Oh,
Wrong button.
he will sad
Already?
trombone you.
There we go. There you go. I'll do that one instead.
Exactly. So if you go over a minute, you'll get the sad trombone and the buzzer. It'll be great.
Yeah.
And then we'll move on to the next question. So our first question is going to come to you from Peter.
All right, well, we talked about the name a little bit, but if you could just kind of give us a little bit of an overview of the company.
Yeah, we are a cyber threat intelligence firm. We specialize in human intelligence. We have a internationally based human operative network that is very well entrenched into the underground economy, where we secure unique data on behalf of our clients.
All right. Now, back before the pandemic, we used to get to go places like conferences and RSA. And the last time I was at RSA, you could not throw a rock without hitting a security intelligence company. So it's a pretty busy market space. What is it that sets you guys apart from everybody else?
Well, where the awesome technology stops. Like, don't get me wrong, there are some tech companies out there doing some fantastic things with the technology side of threat intelligence, and where we differentiate and where we're different is the quality of our human-enabled researchers. Our guys have aliases that have been in the underground economy for almost a decade, and where the technology stops or cannot go, we go.
That's awesome. I'm actually really interested in this, and I want to learn more about this stuff. So speaking of learning more, I know that you spent some time in the government section or sector, as it were. Maybe some three-letter agencies might have made their appearance in your resume.
The FDA.
Yes, exactly. I wanted to go FDIC, but it was too many letters. It just didn't work out. But the real question here is, how does that experience translate into what you do with Vigilante?
Well, understanding the business of intelligence, number one. So there's the business side of it, which means like, hey, we are customer service. And we don't dictate to our customers what they should do, right? So we want to make our customers and empower our customers to be the smartest individuals in any room at any time. And so then we hand it off to them and say, okay, here, now give me the feedback. Yes, more of this, no more of this, less of this. You already knew this, like point us. We are, we don't cast a net, we're the spear fishermen. And so the more specific and the more detailed the feedback, we can actually make you the smartest person in the room. And so understanding, the operational security mindset, understanding the customer service surrounding the business of intelligence, and just knowing how to communicate clearly with your bottom line up front is perhaps one of all those things combined. I think that's where that my former experience really feeds into this, and to think critically, right? And not to come at a problem like you already know the answer, right? Like you have an idea of what's what, but to be able to articulate it, and that enables and empowers the person to be the smartest person, and you're not.
I don't think you could make me the smartest person in my own bedroom, but
Just fill the room full of a bunch of like dogs and
those dogs can sniff out drugs and do all kinds of things.
Dog is smarter.
So
Challenge accepted.
okay, we'll see. So we talk all the time on this show about different hacks and nation-state hacking, like North Korea's, funding their entire country with hacking. But Russia kind of seems to be your area of focus, and I'm curious, are they? Would you say they're the premier, kind of the best at hacking, or are they just the ones we hear about more? And are we as good as they are?
Wow, that's a loaded question. Do I still only get a minute? So in short, in my personal opinion, Russia is the most sophisticated as far as their mindset and their capabilities. They just have a different goal than very capable nation states like North Korea, Iran, and China. And in their lane and what they do with regard to cyber security, offensive operations or intelligence gathering operations, signals intelligence. In my opinion, they're the best. They're our most formidable adversary, next to the United States of America. I think we do. Yeah, that's right, man. We do undersell ourselves, and a lot of that may be messaging and intentional. But we have a very capable workforce. We have we have proven processes that work, and we're more agile than people think. And so, at the end of the day, it's not better, but it's like, we are formidable adversaries. Let me just say that we tip our hats to them, and we don't know maybe they tip our hats to us in a dark closet somewhere, but
those furry hats.
They're very good.
I do find it interesting that we do hear a lot about Russian hacking and how they're just like, oh yes, we hack you. That's what it's how it works. You go down. It's always like, this Russian hacker disclosed this, and this Russian hacker disclosed that. Russian hacking firm does this. I mean, it's like they don't care about sharing that they're kicking everybody's tail when it comes to hacking stuff. And if you want to be on the dark side of stuff, come on to Russia. We'll help you out.
Yeah,
their training is amazing. Their talent pool is they have a deep bench, and they are formidable for sure.
So you studied in both undergrad and grad school Russian literature and Russian language. Did you foresee this coming, and that you wanted to get into this field, or are you just a big fan of like Tolstoy?
I prefer Dostoevsky, but yeah. Sure. So what? That's a very good question. Let me just say that having spent some time there at various stages of my life, what I was reading about in the news. And again, like, this isn't a dig on us or our news, but when you are on the ground and you're seeing this rapid change, Russia was on the move to modernize their approach to most things: politics, economics, military, technology, and that includes everything. And I don't think. And so when I was seeing that mismatch on the ground between what I was what I read about, and it's like, no, it's not the Soviet Union, and no, it's not even the 90s. The 90s was a very hard time for a lot of the former Soviet states, and to see the changes on the ground happening so quickly, like, okay, there's something here, and to be able to provide that context to my government and that insight, I felt like was an honor to even be considered for the job, but much less to get a job like that where you can give back, with your expertise and your own experiences, as well as what you learn once you're inside and you read really interesting things. So yeah, it worked out. It was a freak coincidence that I made the cut. That sounds so weird to say, because I remember going up against some people I worked with were just really, really smart, and I felt like a fish out of water every day.
if you love Russia so much, well,
Sound like my interrogator.
by the way, I realized I don't have like any American songs on my soundboard here. When we said America, it's like the closest I had is yeah. So it's not really.
Yeah, doesn't quite work.
So,
I mean, the Dukes of Hazzard is an American
It's an
institution.
American show, yeah.
I mean, come on.
but I'll work on that before next week. All right. Well, we want to move on to our next segment here, and it seems that we've been having just angry people the last few weeks and things that are just grinding everyone's gears. So let's find out what is grinding Adam's gears in our next segment.
You know what really grinds my gears? This Lindsay Lohan. You know what really grinds my gears? You, America.
We now go to Peter Gore. You know what really grinds my gears?
All right, so what I have here is that misinformation and disinformation campaigns grind your gears. And I would assume they grind everyone's gears, but is there something specific about them that upset you?
Yeah, I hate when it's used to weaponize the rhetoric and to I'm talking about rhetoric here in the United States of America. I've been heartbroken to see how we have turned on each other and have accused our political, like we'll call them our ideological rivals. I don't know how to couch this, but people that think like this much differently than we do. It's like, you know, we're using these terms like, oh, they're so stupid because they fell for a silly Russian troll. It's like, well, hey, whoa, time out. Do you know that there are a handful of countries in the world that allocate untold amounts of money, several buildings with lots of employees whose full-time job is to run sophisticated intelligence operations, okay? I know the big term right now is like science. I know that's a thing trending right now, but I would like to just say that, 100% of us can look back on our lives and look and go when we've been duped, okay? For whatever reason. You read something, you hear something, and you just that's the truth, you know, at the moment. But to demonize your rivals and accuse them of being victims or like there is such a thing as unwitting victims. Like people can be unwitting that they're being manipulated. I mean, I could go on, but let me just say that I think we need to stop. We need to stop, breathe, step back, and understand the context behind these terms.
Now, do you think like what's going on right now is different or more effective? Because really, like propaganda cores have been around for, well, I was about to say decades, but if you think about it, probably thousands of years, right? It's not necessarily a new thing.
Caesar had a big one.
Yeah. So what's different about this is that I don't think our adversaries really understood how well we're going to take the ball and run down the field with it. Now we're turning inward and just doing it to ourselves now, whereas before it was, you know, coming clearly from the outside. And now all they have to do is they have to do much less now to get us riled up and to keep us sad, mad, too happy, too mad, too sad, you know. And so that's what I think the difference is. In 2016, and I will say, like, there's been a big difference between 2016 and 2020 and 2021. 2016, you know, the Russians, in my opinion, were poking us and in their minds, getting us back for what they view that we did to them during President Putin's. You know, there were some pretty big protests when he during the election and then the inauguration. In 2011 and 2012, and he was pretty fired up about it. And the Russian political elite, you know, pointed their finger squarely at us that was those were campaigns done by us, the United States. And so, you know, they were for the first time I'm sure somebody can, you know, make a liar out of me here, but it was the first time in my knowledge that they were so overt about, haha, we did it. And since really 2016, they've kind of like gone back behind the scenes, behind the curtain to re-engage in the gentleman's game of spy versus spy. Like, yeah, they do it, but now it's like a lot more sophisticated and a lot less like in your face. Is just the way I'm reading it. And so, you know, they've handed the ball off to, you know, various entities, media and just commentators alike to just, yeah, that's right. Like the only reason any, politician X does well is because misinformation, and anything bad about another guy or girl running for an office, it's like, well, yeah, that's misinformation. Like, obviously this didn't happen. And it's like, come on, God, breathe. Like, we're on the same team. We're on the
how do you
same
get
team.
people to stop participating in that meat grinder that is happening at this point?
The cycle.
Yeah.
I think breathing helps. And I'm not being silly. Like,
No,
I think
like
like just
actual
taking
breathing.
a deep,
Like stepping back.
step back, take a deep breath, and go. As much as I would like to believe that Joe Biden's tears cure cancer in kittens, like, it's probably not true,
The
right?
ones
Like,
I got
even
on
if-
eBay, or that's a mistake?
Oh man, right next to that Belle Delphine water I bought.
Jeez.
No, yeah, I think part of it too is just a pride thing. Not to put the blame back on all of us, but if someone knows that they're duped, and a lot of times they realize, oops, I was duped. No one goes out and admits it. Goes, hey, my bad. I screwed up on that one. They'll go on to defend that point.
That's why retractions are on like the back of the magazine or the back of the
exactly.
newspaper.
We're all
and
too
I totally
proud.
get it. And I really like what you brought up, because it does start at the individual. Like, I mean, tech companies are always going to do their thing, and everybody's going to try hard to protect the integrity of their brand and their platforms. And I include the news media. I'm not picking on anybody here or any one side, because, again, 100% of the population's guilty of overreacting or underreacting or becoming too happy, too sad, too mad, too glad. It's, this is it. But I like how you said it. Like, it does start at the individual level. Like, we have to go back to trusting ourselves and going, you know what? Like, this doesn't jive right. Like, I really want to believe this to be true, because that would really prove that the other side is in fact evil. But it's probably not true. And so, yeah, individuals need to start taking control of their own minds, and take responsibility of where they're going on the internet and what they're posting, and because there is such a thing as an unwitting agent. That's a term in the intelligence world, an unwitting agent.
I say one of the best things you can do is just any headline you see, assume it's a lie or a complete misrepresentation of what the article is going to be about, and from there you can actually make some headway.
That's a good
Yeah,
start.
divide your emotions by like 1,000, and then there's some truth in there.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty of it. Just like this is like I'm literally looking at 2 to 3 different versions of myself in the mirror right now as I'm conducting this interview. So it does start with the individual, and we need to trust ourselves again, and like, we have to accept that also, like, the tribe we belong to ideologically, like, it's full of crazy uncles, crazy aunts, like nice, like super angelic aunts and uncles. Like, we just like, okay, like, we're not perfect here, but like, yeah, this article about tears, causing like, disease, and tears curing disease. Like, come on, guys, like,
Well,
it's
it
not
also
true.
becomes like a huge ad hominem attack against the people that are in that tribe, and not necessarily a philosophical argument against what it is they believe, right? Like, we have to get back to that, to stop pointing fingers at each other and go, oh, you're just so bad. Let's start talking about, well, maybe you've got some points that you're not quite getting right there. Let's go over that logically and see if it works out.
Daniel, that's a stupid point.
I know.
That's it. I took the words right out of your mouth.
sorry.
That was ridiculous. That's not rooted in science
Dumbest
at all. So.
thing I've ever heard.
So I'm curious. Can we get a back onto the close up shot of Adam? Adam, blink if you were involved with that misinformation campaign against Putin back. I saw it. Did you see it?
No.
I did see it.
Now, when you start trying to think about like not blinking, half of our listeners are blinking right
They're
now.
just blinking uncontrollably, like, oh, I can't stop. My eyes are so dry.
Confirmation. Oh, there's a knock on Adam's door right now. And he's being taken away.
Yeah.
All right. Well, while we have you here, we do want to talk a little bit more about, some recent suspected Russian hacking in a segment, Deja News.
Deja
News.
All right, this one is from CNN.com, and I will assume the headline is fake based on what Daniel said.
As you should.
But former SolarWinds CEO
Lies.
blamed intern for SolarWinds 123 password leak, and that's a cop-out, first of all.
Because there's no such thing as passwords.
Or
That's a made-up
interns,
term.
yeah. But, I mean, maybe the intern shouldn't be the one responsible for creating these things. But, Don, do you want to kind of bring us back up to speed on this article?
So some more details have been coming out about the SolarWinds breach, which is now kind of gone down in history as the largest data breach in the history of data. So, pretty big deal. And what we're finding out now is that the way that the attackers were able to get their foothold into the SolarWinds network was through a file server that was exposed to the internet that involved the use of a password that was incredibly complex, the password being SolarWinds 123. So pretty easy to guess on that one if you were to try and just poke at a company. So the former CEO came out and they've been doing testimony and talking to anybody they can, really trying to get the word out because they're doing a huge PR push to kind of cleanse the company and get it back in everybody's good graces, but indicated that a intern had created that password and left it behind, and that the intern had shared it openly on the web. Now, the intern didn't actually go and actively share it. It was an accidental thing. They put it in their GitHub repository, which the CEO mentioned was a private GitHub repo, which wouldn't be exposed. So it must have been a public GitHub repo that just wasn't secured properly. And that happens a lot. GitHub actually has an algorithm they run, just a whole formula they run against all GitHub accounts that look for Amazon Web Services keys, because developers keep accidentally uploading their AWS keys into it. And so when they find that, it triggers an alert. But triggering something like a simple password is harder, so they can't do that. So that's how this one got leaked out. Now, at the end of the day, the intern used a non-secure password. And that's what the CEO said, is like, hey, the intern violated our password policy. Well, it obviously wasn't an enforced password policy. It was a recommended policy. It's more of a guideline, I guess. And the intern chose not to follow it. But the funny part, I thought, was one of the quotes in here. I think it was one of the senators that they were talking to. Let me see if I can find it. A congresswoman, Representative Katie Porter, said, "You and your company were supposed to be preventing the Russians from reading Defense Department emails." And I thought that was interesting because SolarWinds doesn't actually make any email protection software, right? They're more of a monitoring. They do patching and so on. So in this case, you've got representatives who don't really understand the software and what its purpose was, and they're trying to grill people. So there's just mistakes all over the place with this one.
No, she was wanting it to stop all her AOL spam, and that's what had her
That's
all riled
impossible.
up. Yeah.
I just sent all these gift cards to this guy.
Oh
and
man,
how dare
had a
you,
bunch of
SolarWinds.
evites.
So, Adam, what's your take on this? Is would this be then the easiest hack ever by Russia to just use that password?
I don't know about easiest, but number one, I want to be clear that I actually applaud SolarWinds for coming clean about this, and I think they should be applauded for the way they've been handling it personally. It would have been easy to run and hide and to point fingers. This is actually the first time I've ever heard them trying to defer blame to an intern. But anyway, that's very interesting turn of events. When you deal in any way, shape, or form with the United States federal government, you are considered an inbounds target. You are considered a perfectly inbounds intelligence target because adversarial governments want to know what the other adversarial government is doing. It doesn't matter. Or even sometimes quasi-friendly governments want to know what the other friendly government is up to. And so this is inbounds, in my opinion. This was an intelligence operation, and so they. This should be a warning to all companies who are perceived to be doing business with the United States government or actually do business with the United States government in some way, shape, or form, that you are a target of several very sophisticated nation states. And we cannot comprehend as Americans who are not, we really don't like authoritarian types. We don't like authoritarian attitudes, and we can't comprehend an actual nation state where the entire government apparatus from top to bottom is working toward finding out about us. It's hard to comprehend, but it's happening and it's real. So number one, I understand Congress people have to do their job and do their thing and message and feel good about it. And I get it. And to the extent that SolarWinds should be held responsible for this, fine. But I just want to say I applaud them for being so open about it and bringing it to our attention and for taking the steps they have. But it's a cautionary tale for sure. You're a target if you do any work. Nothing is considered too low hanging of a fruit.
I wonder if they're freaking out right now because we got their password up on the lower third. Oh, jeez, quit telling people.
Mentions here it has been changed. It mentions that.
It's SolarWinds 321 now.
Yeah.
It's capital
Never
S.
catch that. I put a dollar sign.
Yeah, instead of an S.
Yeah.
That's smart. That's smart.
Nailed it.
Yeah, well, I mean,
get us.
and to their defense, they didn't put out a statement. Hey, an intern did this. This was part of an answer and a question to a congresswoman.
It'd be
So-
cool as if they did like a dramatization of like intern dramatization. I mean, and he's like with his middle fingers typing in SolarWinds 1, 2, 3.
That's it,
Eat
how it
it,
happened.
company, don't pay me.
But I will say, I mean, I've done internships before, and I never had like essentially keys to the building, which is kind of what this was. So maybe they'll kind of rethink the program a little bit and see.
Your internship was at Krispy Kreme, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they wouldn't even give me keys.
Well, sophisticated attacks like these aren't one big hack, right? It's a series of little hacks. And so this one file server might not have been viewed as critical. That served as the toehold. And then once they were there, they're able to look at the rest of the network and start to spread out. And so after a series of little hacks, you end up with a big one.
And none of us would know how we would react if we were approached by an incredibly well-trained and sophisticated intelligence officer who's trying to seek a foothold in my company or my network. We just don't know how we'd react.
I'd crumble.
Yeah, exactly, right? I mean,
Just a puddle of Peter Van Rysdom in a chair. I'm so
Here's my last
sorry.
pass. Here's all my passwords. I don't know.
Just don't hit me in the face.
Yeah. The moneymaker.
Why are those D-cell batteries going in that sock?
Yeah, I'll admit I'm weak. So Adam, if people want to find out more about Vigilante, where should they go?
you can find us on the interweb using Netscape Navigator at vigilante.io. It is Netscape Navigator compatible.
Oh, nice.
We are also, I'm just kidding, guys. I'm just
That would
kidding.
be
The
kinda
AOL
awesome
joke
if it
came up.
was.
The AOL joke came up. I had to play along. And we're also on LinkedIn under Vigilante ATI. Love to hear from you guys out there and happy to help. We love what we do. We just love it so much.
Or-
Too much.
If you're a black hat hacker, Vigilante will find you.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
We'll be contacting you.
That's right.
Do you have
Want a
any,
job?
Yeah, exactly. Any webinars or events or things like that coming up you want to talk about, or?
Not anytime soon, guys. We're recalibrating that strategy right now.
Sure.
Unfortunately.
Everybody is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty far.
I'm wearing my last conference shirt that I went to right like as the pandemic hit the United States and Florida.
Oh, peace
I was there in Tampa. Like I came home that weekend, they're like, "Oh, first person in that count."
Yeah,
Oh,
like
was,
Hillsborough?
Hillsborough, yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, "Hi, is going to the hospital over COVID?" And I'm like, "Ah, I was just there.
Was it me?
at a international conference?"
Perfect.
Wow.
I was kissing all those people
Oh,
from all
man.
over.
That makeout
Yeah.
room was weird, but
I know RSA was the last time I was allowed out of my home.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's been strange. Were all of you guys there too? You guys were there.
Not this.
No, not this last- did we
No,
go?
San Francisco
before
in
that.
2020.
No,
No,
did
we
not
were in
go there.
2019.
Yeah,
I know we had a
2019,
booth
yeah.
there, but
Oh,
yeah. Do you even have a window in your room there?
3 windows.
Okay, because they're not facing this way. So I just want to make sure if you can't get outside, at
You
least.
didn't let him finish 3 Windows machines.
Oh,
No, we don't allow those in our home.
No.
Windows 7.
Oh, good man.
No offense. No
I
offense.
like him. I knew he was all right.
All right, well, Adam, thank you so much for taking the time with us today. We really appreciate your insight.
Take care, everyone. Thanks. It was a pleasure. Yes, thank you.
All right, and stay tuned, everybody. We're going to come back after a quick break with more Technado with Don Pizzette.
I'm James Packer. I'm the General Manager of Kirk ISS based in the Cayman Islands. I used IT Pro TV extensively in my last place. It grew very well, helped upskill the team. I had 110 engineers in the field and we had dozens of IT Pro accounts with the guys training, and last year alone they passed over 40 certs by using the online training. I think I can safely say without IT Pro TV I wouldn't be where I was today, because I only got this job on the back of the qualifications I have.
All right, welcome back to Technado with Don Pizzette, and thank you so much to Adam for joining us and telling us all about Vigilante. I realized I was saying Vigilante because I don't want to sound like Southern, like Vigilante,
That Vigilante.
but I think
That's a good company right there.
I've
I'd
always
use
said,
that.
I've always said Vigilante. I never.
yeah.
Well, if you're saying it in like here in America, like we say vigilante, like that's a
Yeah.
type of person. But if you're trying to pronounce the word as it's normally used, I would think it would be vigilante.
How do you say pecan or pecan?
Pecan.
Pecan.
Yeah.
Done.
My dad says a pecan is something you take to bed with you at night.
That's what I asked a woman. I asked a waitress once. She's like, "Pecan, something you keep in the truck."
That's right.
All right, nailed that.
There you go.
Fantastic.
We'll figure it out.
Today I learned.
Yeah.
And on that note, let's get to the news from this week. Our first article is from TechSpot.com. The Framework laptop is the latest attempt at a true modular laptop.
Lies.
You can even choose your ports when it starts shipping later this year. So modular laptop, we're saying basically like it's kind of plug and play with different pieces that I could add on wherever I wanted.
So one challenge we have with laptops is they come in a fixed configuration, and maybe you can add some more memory, maybe you can swap out the hard drive, but that's about it. Many of them have glued-in batteries, they have soldered-on memory in some cases, and a fixed number of ports. And this is especially true with Macs right now, where you're lucky to get 2 or 4 USB-C ports, and that's it. Well, the Framework laptop is designed to solve that problem. And this is not an original idea, right? Motorola had Project Aura, which was a modular phone. We had Razer, the gaming company, released a laptop 2 years ago that was supposed to be upgradable. Oddly enough, they ended support for it after a year, so you weren't able to upgrade it at all. Total sham. But in this case, the Framework laptop is designed to solve that. Now, the CPU is not upgradable in this, so it's not completely modular, but you can change out any of the storage. The screen is magnetically attached, so it's easy to swap out the screen. The keyboard can be replaced, but the most important part, in my opinion, is all the ports along the sides of the laptop are little modules, little USB-C modules, so you can swap out the ports. Do you want 2 HDMI ports? No problem. Pop them on there. Do you want an HDMI port and 2 USB-A ports? Great. Pop them on.
You could change that as you go. So you could say, oh, I just got this new monitor. Now I need another port. You could go out and buy a different one and swap it in.
Yeah, so it's designed to be, other than the processor, and they're saying potentially you could replace the whole motherboard, but other than the processor, you're supposed to be able to swap out any component in this laptop to basically either, one, just build the perfect custom laptop for you, or 2, to change it over time.
Don, you're speaking my language about this thing, man. I'm looking at it. I'm digging it. I want one. They got a price point on this motherfinger here?
They don't have a price point on it.
It's like $7,000.
Well, you never know. And in my experience, when you have companies like this that are just starting up, the first version will be made of plastic. It'll be a little flimsy. It will probably be expensive. And then you just don't know how long they're going to make it. Like the, what was the Google phone, the Android phone, what was that thing called? The original creator of Android left Google and started a phone company, and
that's right.
He released a phone, and before the second version of it could come out, they went out of business, right? So that certainly happens. We'll have to wait and see how this performs. But the idea of a modular laptop is something I really like.
So a lot of people like to, build their own PC, but you think of that from towers. Is there anything else out there that is like that from a laptop perspective, like a case, a laptop case that you build off of?
I've never seen that.
Not really, because if you want true flexibility, you need space. Big, right? Yeah. So the laptop gets bigger and bigger with
expansion.
So I can put in the water cooling and all the different funky things.
Yeah. Now, there are a lot of USB-C and Thunderbolt enclosures you can get now, where you can have external graphics adapters and things.
Those things are cool as crap, man.
They are, but they're super flaky. Like, have you used one? Like, you pretty much have to have all the hardware attached before you boot up.
Oh, that's right. Like, you can't do it like hot swap things.
Right. Super finicky.
Any change, reboot time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Price you pay.
But if you were doing like, a bunch of 4K video editing or whatever, and you just had a reasonable laptop, and you're like, well, I need to upgrade this thing a little bit, maybe outsource to that kind of thing. And it is kind of a big box, right? Because it's holding a full-size card.
I look at it and say, you need the right tool for the job.
Yeah.
So if
that makes sense.
Trying to force your laptop to do it, you probably shouldn't have a laptop.
Well, I would say, Daniel, if you do get one of these in the first try, go ahead and buy all the components you think you might ever need.
Yeah, exactly.
First, if Don's right, and
Don,
and
here's
this
the
doesn't last.
receipt for my new laptop. Don't cry in front of people.
Yeah,
okay?
it was only $50 for one HDMI port.
Yeah.
I got all of them. All right, well, cool. Check that out. Framework laptop. Does it have 7 monitors, though? That's what I want.
It doesn't. Although the web camera can actually be popped out, and the microphone, so even those are upgradable.
That's
so
cool.
it's really,
and that's the ultimate webcam security. We've talked about hardware, lenses, and things to cover it.
If you remove it out, it's gonna have a hard
in the
time
trunk.
running.
Yeah. That's smart.
Holy crap, it's on.
Russians.
These Russians, man, they are amazing.
They are good. You got to tip your hat.
Amazingly bad.
All right, our next article is from arstechnica.com. Confirmed. Fry's Electronics going out of business, shutting down all stores. The former king of build-your-own PC retailers couldn't survive COVID and consignment shift. Well, that's it. Gotta go to Circuit City.
I say we pour one out for the fallen, right? You gotta.
If you pour that out on your laptop, you can get that new
Hey,
laptop.
Don, I need that new laptop.
I've never been to a Fry's. Did they have them here?
I went to one in Vegas. It was pretty awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's southeast.
A lot of them were out west. When I lived in Seattle, I used to go out. There was one outside of town. You know, it took a bit to get there. There was one in Atlanta. I don't know if there were any in Florida or not.
Not
but
that I know.
Fry's was neat. I used to complain about Fry's a long time ago because I kind of felt like going to a garage sale. Like there were all sorts of open box stuff. But they did something neat. If you were building your own computer, and Daniel, you've built your own computer, right?
Yeah.
So you order a bunch of parts, you get them home, you start putting the computer together, and invariably something doesn't work, right? Like one component, the motherboard or a memory stick, or whatever. Now you got to send it back and you got to wait. Fry's did this cool thing where you can go and grab the components right off the shelf, walk over to a counter, put it all together right there in the store.
I didn't know they did that.
And make sure it worked. Yeah. And if it didn't, like they had people who could help you. And then once it all worked, it was great. And you can walk out the door and you knew it worked. So it was really cool if you had one in your area. And it was fun to just go and walk around and look at computer parts. Well, obviously in the day and age of online shopping and with the pandemic killing a lot of in-person shopping, Fry's has not done so well. So they are going out of business. And if you're thinking about, wow, at least I can swoop in and get some discount prices as they go out of business, they had actually switched to a consignment model where they would get hardware from vendors without paying for it. Ooh. And then when the hardware sold, then they would send the money back to the vendor. And so now they're going out of business. They actually have to send all that hardware back because they don't actually own it. So no good computer deals. But
I wonder if that'll drive the prices down for those components.
Maybe.
Because now they have a surplus and they have to put it out in the market to get them sold. And
right
recoup
now,
all the shipping that has to be done between the two vendors.
Video cards are selling out like crazy everywhere, so I doubt that'll make any changes. But everything else is still kind of a commodity item, so I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll have to see.
From the looks of things, it says 9 states that they're in, and it's a lot of it is out west. So looks like more of a Western U.S. thing, but there was Atlanta and places like that. So. Well,
when I went to Fry's, they were playing a Celine Dion concert on like super crazy ultra high def TVs right as you walked in. I just sat there and watched Celine Dion just kill it because she's an amazing singer.
Was it the 40-year-old version where they had that?
Michael McDonald. Yeah,
it's just on loop the DVD.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna shoot myself in the head if I have to hear this thing one more time.
Taking it to the street.
It's a pretty good impression.
All right. This one's up your alley, Daniel. The next article is from linux.slashdot.org. Kali Linux 2021.1 released, tweaked DEs and terminals, new tools, Silicon Macs. That's a lot of just random words just strung together in that headline. But exciting, 2021. Is this a full release, not a beta?
Yes. This is the latest version. Kali does a numbering convention, just like most people, where they set the year, and it's supposed to be the month, right?
It's every quarter they come out with it. Yeah, I think they do so it'll be 2021.1 will be first quarter, second quarter will be 21.2.
So this is 2021.1, and it's got a couple of new features in it. Daniel can speak to some of them, but the big ones are native support for M1 Macs. If you've already upgraded to a Mac with the M1 processor, and for some reason you want to install Kali on the hardware, you can do that. I don't know why you would want to do that.
Went out and got a brand new Mac.
But you could. Yeah, Linux support on the M1 Macs is not great, so you can do it, but you'd almost be better off using pretty much anything else. Speaking of anything else, there's upgrades to the Raspberry Pi support, including the Raspberry Pi 400, the keyboard that has a Raspberry Pi built into it.
It's pretty sweet.
You could build a pretty sweet Kali box, just to drop around. So those are a couple of things, other various upgrades. Daniel, have you messed around with it yet? Or?
So I haven't had a chance to download and install it. I've kind of gotten away from following Kali's releases as they come out since they've jumped to that whole hey, a lot of people are using this as a daily driver kind of thing, so we're gonna make this more of a daily driver.
Bad idea.
So I keep an isolated box that I use for testing and stuff like that. I don't use Kali as a daily driver, so all the changes and modifications they've done to make it go that way have not been something I want to have to work around.
Yeah.
So I've stuck with like 2019.4 is where I'm still at. So
okay. And actually, I'm going to back up on. I mentioned the Kali image running on running on the M1 processor and why they would do that. If you're running Kali in a VM and it's the x86 image in a VM. It's got to be translated before it hits the processor. But if it's running an ARM image, then it doesn't. So you actually would get a performance increase on a VM. All right, so I'm going to walk that back. I can understand why they would release that image.
Can't win them all, dummy.
Yeah, well, there you go. I'm going to spread misinformation.
Yeah. So it also, if you put this, Dorito chip in there, it'll.
You can recharge it by putting it in the microwave.
It would be kind of funny if somebody came out with the Dorito chip.
Yeah, I don't use Intel. Just Dorito.
Just Dorito.
Cool Ranch.
Yeah, the best.
It's gotta be Cool Ranch. Yeah, that should be the original. All right, well,
that was one of the first victims of the pandemic. Remember when the pandemic hit?
Yeah.
They started reducing the amount of products, and Cool Ranch went out the window.
That's some bullcrap right
well,
there.
because everybody licking their fingers. That was not the time to be doing that.
Now, I will say that some of the the big things that do come with this is Kali or Offensive Security, who creates Kali, they kind of shuck and jive with the things that they're doing in there, not just the fact that they're trying to make it more like desktop managers that are available. And they do have a little bit of new tools that will be a standard part of the tool set that comes with Kali. It looks like Airgeddon, which is really good. Alt DNS. I think Chisel that's a good tool. That's something I've been playing with here lately, and it can be a great tool. It's for creating TCP or UDP tunnels over HTTP. Cool. So yeah, really great tool that a lot of pen testers and people that do that offensive.
You'd use that for exfiltration, or
just creating. Oh, I could use it for that, or you just use it for maybe doing like proxying through, or anytime you want to create something that's not easily looked at, or is kind of a side channel kind of thing. So,
okay, so I guess SSH would stand out,
right.
But this would.
But if you're running over HTTP, they might not, take a look at that kind of thing. So, really cool stuff. What was another one that I really liked? Git leaks. Searches Git repo history for secrets and keys.
Oh,
yeah, that's a good tool. So those are now standard a part of this Kali distro.
And we just talked about SolarWinds 1.2.3 being in a GitHub repo. So
all comes together, ladies and gentlemen.
If only they had 2021.1.
If they could anachronistically have this go back. The tool has been available for some time now. It's just now becoming a standard part of Kali.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, you done?
You're done.
Well, every time I think we're done, you're like, oh, and another new cool feature.
Oh, wait, one more thing. You're done.
Okay, fantastic. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to apologize to our director. What I did is I was so upset about Fry's going out of business that I skipped right over an article. And
I was wondering about that.
I was too.
I cannot. Thanks for mentioning it, guys.
Well, you said, Daniel, this one's right up your alley. And I'm like, it's a Windows article.
10?
I'm
okay.
sorry.
I don't know where we're going with this, but I'll be interested.
What I did was wrong, and it won't happen again. And
it will.
And I failed.
It's absolutely going to happen again.
So I don't even know if we can make the little thing on the left there, the rundown, go back up, but we can.
Hey.
So our next article is from computerworld.com. Microsoft slashes Windows 10 long-term support by half. Windows 10 LTSC, the version once pitched to enterprises as the OS that didn't need constant updating, will only get 5 years of support now. So I'm guessing it was 10.
Yeah, it was. So remember the good old days when Microsoft would release a new operating system every 3 to 5 years? So you had Windows 95, then 98, Windows 2000, Windows XP, Windows Vista, and the list goes on and on.
Oh, Vista.
Every 3 to 5 years, you'd get a new OS. Well, Microsoft followed a really weird cadence for support back then, which was they would support any OS until 2 new operating systems had been released. So Windows 2000 was still supported while Windows XP was out, and it was still supported while Vista was out. But then when Windows 8 came out, or Windows 7, there we go, Windows 7 came out, the support for Windows 2000 went away. It was kind of hard to keep track of. Like, how many OSs has Microsoft released? If they'd stuck with numbers, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But
That's why I like Kali Linux's 2021.1.
It's pretty easy to
go with
follow.
that.
Yeah.
So with Windows 10, Microsoft announced that Windows 10 might be the last version of Windows, or the last named version of Windows they released, and instead they switched to this twice annual, biannual, semi-annual. What's it called when you do something twice a year?
It's bi or semi.
I don't know.
I think either works.
Twice a year, they release a massive update to Windows 10, and so that's it. That's your new version of Windows. And so they have to set a window of time for them to support it. And there are enterprises that are out there that don't want to do massive updates every 6 months or even every 2 years for that matter. So they released the long-term support edition. Originally, it was called the LTSB, or the Long-Term Servicing Branch, I believe is it. And it was supported for 10 years. Well, Microsoft just announced that their latest LTSB, which is now called LTSC, the Long-Term Support Channel, there we go, is only going to be supported for 5 years. They're reducing that window. And so what they're doing is they're saying, look, if you don't like upgrading every couple of years, you don't have to, but 5 years is where we're going to cap it. And so they're really pushing people onto this new 6-month cycle, which is fine for home users, not really for enterprises.
I got a feeling in the next couple of years, this article is going to read, Microsoft slashes Windows blank long-term support.
Yeah,
It's just that's it.
Yeah.
Just gone.
There is no long-term support.
Or then there will be the article then where they put it back to 10 years because there was a mutiny.
It's getting harder and harder to maintain security patches for this stuff. And most people don't care about the features. Like, I can't name a single feature in Windows 10 that's come out in the last 3 major updates that
Innovation's hard, Don.
It is. But the security updates I do care about. I like getting those.
It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of them.
Man, I help moderate the comments on our YouTube channel, and we've got an article about how to get or stop the updates because of people getting mad about Edge and things. People do not like those security patches.
They hate them. Listen, working support, Don's work support, you'll log into someone's machine and you'll just see that little thing going, hey, you have updates waiting. I'm like, how come you haven't done that? Because updates break stuff. So I'm like, they fix things usually.
You know what? Not doing updates. Though?
Yeah. Plus, what's your IP?
I think I've said it on here before, but I saw the meme once that said, "Life is just hitting remind me tomorrow every day until you die."
Yeah.
Well, if you work in an enterprise supporting Windows, know that the last LTSB release that came out is still getting 10 years of support, but the newest one is only getting 5 years, and going forward, that's going to be the model. So expect a 5-year window, which is longer than the lifetime of most computers, so it's not so bad. You can upgrade by attrition as machines die out, but it is something you'll need to be aware of, and you'll need to adjust your upgrade schedule.
All right.
10-4.
Got it.
And knowing is half the battle.
Oh, okay. Instead of like a copyright thing, we
Probably
got
say
Hasbro.
Yeah.
All right.
Who wants a body massage?
You could do IT Pro. Yeah.
Don has
I'm a computer. Stop all the downloading.
Pork chop sandwich.
Yeah, give him the stick. Whoa.
If you have not seen the, what are these called?
People think we've gone crazy.
Yeah,
now.
they will. Yeah, it was the PSAs.
Yeah, somebody remade, or they kind of bad lip synced all the PSAs, which is good times.
It was super funny.
Yeah.
Justin had never seen him, and I showed him
Really?
the
Oh.
pork chop sandwich one. Had him on the floor because that junk was funny.
Yes.
Get out of the house. What are you doing?
Yeah.
All right, our next article is from ZDNet.com. More than 6,700 VMware servers exposed online and vulnerable to major new bug. A proof of concept exploit code has been published online earlier today, and active scans for vulnerable VMware systems have been detected already.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's happening so fast.
Surprise! This is flipping 0 day just practically.
Yeah, so turns out in vSphere, in the graphical user interface that's available for VMware or for all the various VMware products, that it has a REST API, and one particular plugin in that REST API does not require authentication. And it just happens to be the one that you can use to do things like uploading an OVA or a VMware template into a ESX machine or just into vSphere in general. And because it lets you write to the server without authentication and read from the server without authentication, people like Daniel can upload a script, like in this case a JSP file, and then have the server executed under the server's credentials, thus giving you remote code execution capabilities and really keys to the kingdom. You can do whatever the hell you want.
It was funny when I was looking at this article and I scrolled through and they got a couple of screenshots happening and I saw somebody had burp open, and I saw it say, "Who am I?" NTL. I was like, "Oh, this bad."
Yeah, they're executing commands locally.
That's no bueno.
Now, the headline is a hair misleading. Well, the headline is factually accurate, so I'll stick with that. But more than 6,700 VMware servers exposed online. They could have stopped right there, and you don't even need an RCE. Like, that means there are people that have their VMware servers management interface exposed to the internet. And that's just a bad idea.
That's a bad idea.
Any day of the week, exploit or not.
I like going home and doing my administration from there because my bed is a whole lot more comfy.
Well, you use a VPN tunnel already.
But that's hard.
So anyhow, 6,700 servers are misconfigured. You can go do a Shodan search for them right now, and what was it called when the original colonists got to the United States and they would expand a territory and they'd do like a land rush, or is that what it was called?
Like in Oklahoma, like when they had the
Something-
Sooners of the land rush.
Like that
they
Tom
had?
Cruise movie. where
Far and
they were-
away.
Yeah,
Far and away, just like that. So people are running
Yeah,
to
it's
single
homesteading.
Homesteading.
Oh, no, they had those contests though, where you run and you put your stake
Well,
down.
it was a contest. It was just like whoever got to that land first got to get that land.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's going
that
on right
makes sense.
now with these VMware servers that are exposed to the internet. So
Where Nicole Kidman gets.
If you grab it, it's yours, kind of thing.
yeah. So really, the Shodan search has already been done. People have already hit all of those servers, and if you can be the first hacker in there, then you can get your.
It's like a fire sale on VMware.
It really is. VMware has released a workaround and a patch. So the patch, it needs to be rushed out as soon as you can, but if you're one of the organizations that needs to protect from this, the workaround disables that one plugin. But honestly, the workaround,
Turn the flipping thing off from
don't
the
expose
internet.
the management interface of anything to the internet, period. Like, that's just not how security works.
See, it's funny. We say, "Oh, you just have to add that one control," and now that's a lot of security. You just bolt it on. Why don't you do that? These are the people that are like, "How do I make my font different in my email signature?" Well, I mean, and they're having a problem doing it. And you're like, "Well, is it that big of a deal that you go to Comic Sans?" And you're like, "Yes," and you spend 2 hours troubleshooting, because they won't do the thing. Well, it's just one extra thing. Well, I don't want to do that. It's just one extra. I don't want to do that. It's something simple. It doesn't really even matter. I don't want. And this is what we get.
Yep, and
that's what really grinds my gears.
It does really grind
there you
my
go.
gears. It's annoying.
Dang, I'm pissed off.
Just do that.
So
I used to get those calls all the time. It's like, why does this matter? Or why won't you just do this? Because I don't want to. It's one extra click.
And the dangerous thing here is once they're into your VMware server, which is odds are connected to your SANs, now they have access to your various storage, and they can spin up their own VMs. Like, they can do whatever the hell they want. And this is pretty bad, but it requires a failure on your part. Now I'm accusing our listeners. It requires you to fail.
Yeah, that's right.
But
Challenge accepted.
Yeah. Go look in the mirror and hate that person.
So this affects VMware eSexy.
E-sexy.
I'm still trying to get that to take off.
endorsed by Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, nice. All right. So don't expose your stuff there, and
On the internet.
Don and Daniel
To strangers.
won't get so pissed
Riled
off.
up, yeah.
because they are mad.
No one
our
likes
guest
people
was mad.
exposing stuff.
Our guest was mad about misinformation today.
It is annoying, right?
Yeah,
it's
he
like,
was-
come on.
He was ready to go.
And it's like, what was that previous article when they were talking about how, even there, it was kind of clickbaity about Microsoft slashes long-term support. Just say, Microsoft reduces long-term support for blah, blah, blah. You don't need the sensationalized headline.
Got to get those clicks.
Slashes this. What are we thinking, Crazy Eddie's discount, whatever?
We would never do that. But, next week we are doing the top 10 security flaws. You won't believe what's number 4.
Number 3 will shock
Florida drivers aren't expecting this.
you. No, they're not.
All right. Local singles in my area?
Florida, man.
In my area? All right. Want to let you know about a couple things coming up. First of all, we have a webinar soon with internet celebrity David Bombal from the YouTubes, and that is Get Hands-On with Cisco, Gain Experience with Cisco Technologies. So talking about all the different ways that you can get hands-on practice while you are learning. That's with Ronnie Wong and David Bombal on March 11th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So check that one out. Head over to itpro.tv/webinars. You can register for that one and see all of the past webinars as well, and go ahead and check those out. And we also have a free weekend coming up, staying in that that Cisco focus because that is what we're focusing on for the new month of March here. Cisco Free Weekend is the 20th and 21st of March. And, of course, like CCNA, CyberOps, CCNP, a few of those, and DevNet Associate, those are all open and free for free members. So you just make a free membership and you get access to all of those courses for the weekend. I don't think technically you could watch them all on that.
You get like the first 10 minutes of each of those free?
No, Daniel. Thank you for asking. You get the entire course free.
So from start to finish.
Yeah, just remember like when, as a kid, they would do the HBO free weekends and you would wake up in the middle of the night to watch real sex. It's just like that, but with Ronnie.
Taxi Cab Confessions. That was a guilty pleasure.
It's just like that, but with Ronnie and Anthony. So,
Oh, man. Ronnie. Watch Ronnie hook up Cisco equipment in a brothel.
Not again. All right. Yeah, fool me once.
Yes.
And finally, if you head over to go.itpro.tv/Technado, you can get a coupon code for 30% off the lifetime of your personal plan. You can also request a team trial and see a demo of the Pro Portal and all the cool features available to teams from IT Pro TV. That's at go.itpro.tv/Technado. Well, I want to thank our guest again, Adam, Darrah, and Vigilante. Vigilante.io is the website there to check out. And definitely a guy I think we'll have on again when we talk Russia. If he'll come on again, I shouldn't assume there. We liked him, but it's got to go both ways. All right, gentlemen. Any closing thoughts?
You shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
Fair enough.
Well, there we go.
Done. All right. Perfect. And I guess that'll do it. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week right here on Technado with Don Pizzette.